All right, just got back from the theater, and Toxic Avenger is definitely a film you do not want to sleep on. Toxic Avenger first burst onto the scene in 1984 as a cult classic from Troma Entertainment. Known for its outrageous humor and over-the-top low-budget charm, the 2025 version, directed by Malcolm Blair, is a reimagining that draws inspiration from the original, but stands out on its own as a unique film. This new version presents a significant tonal shift, blending grotesque violence and absurd humor with a darker, more satirical edge that critiques modern social issues, while still nodding to the chaotic spirit of the original. By taking the story and the characters and the tone in a fresh direction, it offers modern, surprisingly entertaining experience for both longtime fans and newcomers alike. With that in mind, let's dive into Toxic Avenger 2025. From the opening scene, the Toxic Avenger makes it clear that this is a film that revels in its over-the-top, campy nature. Director Malcolm Blair brings a modern sensibility to the original's chaotic energy, delivering a movie that's as gleefully absurd as it is grotesquely entertaining. I found the storyline to be unexpectedly engaging, keeping me hooked with its unique take on the superhero genre. The performances, particularly by Peter Dinklage and Elijah Wood, add depth to the film's otherwise outrageous premise. As one reviewer aptly put it, the film's loud, grotesque, and bizarrely heartfelt. The campiness, the over-the-top violence, and the heartfelt moments come together to create a film that's both entertaining and memorable. Now let's talk about the performances, because they really make this film pop. Now, Peter Dinklage plays Winston Gooze, the janitor who becomes the Toxic Avenger, and he really shines in this role. I mean, you feel for Winston from the start, and when he transforms, Dinklage brings both vulnerability and determination that makes the chaos actually matter. I mean, you're rooting for him every step of the way. And then there's Kevin Bacon, as he is Bob Garbinger, whatever the guy's name was. He's a corrupt CEO whose negligence sets everything in motion. He's flamboyant, he's over the top, and he's just perfectly matched to the film's wild energy. You can't help but to be entertained by his villainous. I don't know, you're entertained by how mean he is. It's just ridiculous enough to be fun without ever feeling, flat. Filling out the villainous side of things is Elijah Wood as Fritz Garbinger, Bob's younger brother and manager of the monstercore band, The Killer Nuts. It's a smaller role, but Wood steals nearly every scene he's in. He leans fully into the absurdity of the character, and he is just like delivering moments that are equal parts menacing and darkly comedic. Honestly, I didn't expect to be laughing at the villain's sidekick, but, here we are. Even the supporting cast brings their A-game. Jacob Tremblay as Wade, Winston's stepson, adds real heart, giving the story stakes that make you care amidst all the chaos. Taylor Page as J.J. Dortry, the whistleblower ally, brings strength and personality. Luisa Guerrero, who physically portrays the Toxic Avenger, gives the character its monstrous presence with its incredible energy. Altogether, the cast make the world feel alive, and it's just outrageous, campy, and over the top. But somehow, you also care about these people. These characters, it's not easy to pull off in a movie that's as wild as this one, but they do it. The storyline is deceptively simple, but it works beautifully. Winston Gooze starts off in a desperate situation. He's terminally ill, and he's trying to survive, even if only to avoid leaving his stepson Wade alone.
I'm sick, sir.
His personal stake gives Winston a clear motivation from the very beginning. As the story progresses, the stakes shift. When Wade is threatened by the villains, Winston is pushed into action, and his mission evolves from saving himself to saving his stepson. That becomes the drive, the plot of the film right there, giving the audience a reason to care about what happens next. By the time Winston is fully on his mission, you're rooting for him. The clear stakes and the emotional core keep you invested, making the story surprisingly engaging despite all of the chaos. Even though we already know the film is over the top and gory, what really makes it fun are the little details you might have missed if you're not paying attention. The signage, The signage in the restaurants and the ticker tapes on the news reports and things like that. They're all jokes and visual gags. Take the time to read them. They're silly, they're clever, they really enhance the tone of the film. One of the things I noticed was the recurring Miss Meat fast food joint, which was originally called Mr. Meats in the 1984 version. It's a fun nod to the original film and pops up on several scenes, providing a backdrop for some of the film's wildest sequences. Little Easter eggs like that reward the viewers who are, paying attention, adding an extra layer of enjoyment to the chaos that's on the screen. And believe me, there's a lot of chaos. And which brings us to the Butt Guts unit. A group of extra gags added in late shooting that includes some of the most outrageous kills in the film. One memorable moment involves a character's guts being ripped out of it. Never mind, I'm not going to tell you about that. But it's grotesque and ridiculous. And it is completely in line with the film's wild spirit. Another thing that really stands out in this film is how the visuals, the production design, and the overall cinematic style work together to create a fully immersive experience. Now, the kills are outrageous, extremely gory, absurdly creative, and intentionally ridiculous, but they're shot and staged in such a way that it makes you appreciate the craft behind the chaos. The practical effects, the blood, and the over-the-top moments feel carefully designed to draw you in, not just to shock you. The cinematography complements this perfectly by supporting the campy tone while keeping the action clear and visually engaging. Watching the film, it's impossible to not get caught up in the energy. By the end, I genuinely felt like applauding. It's the kind of movie that leaves you excited, entertained, and satisfied. You care about Winston and all the other characters, and that emotional investment makes every outrageous scene hit harder. It's a wild ride, but one that rewards your attention and makes the absurdity enjoyable rather than exhausting. If you're curious about where all this started, the original 1984 Toxic Avenger is currently available for free on Tubi.
I want to do it with you. Okay.
Just be aware it's a very different story than the 2025 film. I strongly recommend seeing this in theaters for the full experience. I don't think this is going to hit as hard if you're watching it at home on a streaming service. This is absolutely a big screen movie, and you owe it to yourself to experience it the way it was meant to be experienced. And that is the Toxic Avenger for 2025. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like and drop a comment below with your thoughts. And I'll see you next time for more horror movie reviews that you don't want to miss.